So today I'm going to do some really simple sausage rolls. Bought pastry and sausage meat. Okay, you can have any sausage meat you want. I'm using Just Roll. If you use Supermarket's own brand, absolutely fine. With lockdown, this is all I could get at the moment. Okay, so it's really simple. And if you buy this, the ready rolled, the sheet, there is no need for a rolling pin should you not have one. If you can just get the block and you've got a rolling pin and you can roll it up, that's absolutely fine too. So if you take it out the fridge for just a few moments before you're going to use it, it makes it easier to unroll. This is still cracking, but that's absolutely fine. Okay, now I leave it on the sheet, even though I've floured, just in case. I do leave it on the sheet. So we have it that way for now. Okay, now I take a little bit of flour on my hands. I have disinfected my worktop with Declo beforehand and dried it off and floured it. So to cut my sausage meat roughly in half. Okay. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to roll it out into a long sausage. Hence I've put flour on so it doesn't stick. A little bit of flour on my hands. Might need some more, might not. Just depends how we go. So this is like, remember when you used to play with Play-Doh at school? Exactly the same principle. Okay, so we just roll it out into a long sausage. Doesn't matter if it breaks, we'll just pop it on and join it up. Not a problem. Mine's broken already, but that really does not matter. So I'm just going to pop a little bit more flour on. Spreading your fingers out, make it really long. Try and keep it more or less the same width. I know it's really tricky, but it just helps. Okay, now we're going to measure. Right, that's one. Take your rings off for this if you've got any rings on, because it gets everywhere. Okay, again, just rolling out, really simple, going right back to reception, Key Stage 1, play school. Right, okay, so we're going right back there and try and keep it, as I said, if you can, although it's not easy, same kind of width all the way down. So measure it, see if that looks absolutely fine. Okay, so then I've got a little bit of milk in my cup. If you've got an egg and you want to use an egg, that's absolutely brilliant. You can use that as well. If you just want to use water to seal, that's fine too. So just brush it down the edge and I brush it in the middle as well. Doesn't matter about sealing so much. You can use water for sealing if you want, but definitely milk or beaten egg and milk on top. Okay, so what I do is I just bend it over and using the flat side of my hand, just seal it down. It doesn't have to be a precise science, this, because it will all even out, I promise. Okay, so again. And then cut it down with a nice sharp knife. Right down the middle. And you'll see why I'm leaving it on the paper. Because it moves really easily. Right, okay. seal it again. Now what we're going to do is called knocking up, where you knock the sides up. Not only does this help with the sealing so they don't pop open in the oven, it also gives a nice finish. Okay, so you take a nice sharp knife, just the knife you've used to divide them, and keeping it at an angle with your hand here, just knock the sides up. Using this part of the blade at an angle. Okay, so that's, and because this is puff pastry, when it rises, we'll give a really nice finish. And then what I do is just chop the end off. Again, gives a nice finish. Don't have to do it, entirely up to you. I just find that gives a really sharp finish. Okay, so I would do that on both sides. I'm not going to do it on both sides because it'll be dead boring for you. Okay, and then we go into the dividing up. Obviously, depending on what size sausage rolls you want. What I do is I mark the middle again, and then for me, mark the middle of those marks again. Okay, hope that's okay for everybody. Then I take a nice sharp pair of kitchen scissors, nice and clean. Okay, got a bit of flour on there. And I just use scissors because I find it gives a sharper edge. And then I've put baking parchment on my baking tray, and I just pop them on there. I find if you use a knife to cut them, that's fine, but it doesn't give quite the edge, and it's not quite so easy as your pastry goes soft as you're using it. As I say, I'm just going to do one of these for demo purposes. And that's my other one. I'll trim his end off so it doesn't burn. Right, what I do now, still with the scissors, is I make 2 little snips like that in each one, using the tip of your scissors. When they're cooked, these little snips obviously will rise up and give a really nice pattern. You can do 2, 3 if you've got bigger sausage rolls, obviously, you know, whatever pattern you want. And then brush with milk, or milk beaten egg, or just beaten egg, depends what you want. If you use egg, it does give a shinier glaze. But I'm just using milk today because that's what I've got. So you just brush your milk all over. You can use your fingers if you don't have a pastry brush, just use your fingers, I'll show you. Just dip your fingers in and rub it over. Okay, with this there's no need for hardly any kitchen equipment, no rolling pin, no pastry brush. You can just do this really easily. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do my other one now. When they come out the oven, I've got my oven on 200 degrees and I've warmed it for about 10-15 minutes beforehand. So we've got a really nice oven, nice and hot, so the pastry will rise. Okay, because you've got puff pastry, you will need a hotter oven to get that rise. Okay, so come back and I'll show you them when they're out the oven. About, if I put them in a 200, you'll have to keep an eye on them because every oven's so different. I would say around about 15 minutes. Okay, so we'll see you then. Right, okay, so we have had about 20 minutes, I think. You've got to make sure that obviously the sausage meat is cooked inside. It's not all about the pastry, although if you have a hot oven, the pastry will rise. But your sausage meat must be cooked So that's the big thing with sausage rolls, is not to burn your pastry, but get your sausage meat cooked. Obviously, if you are making bigger ones, leave them in longer. If you find that the top is browning too quickly, just pop some baking parchment over the top once they're risen, but it will give you that extra couple of minutes just to make sure that the meat in the middle is cooked. Right, let's have a look at these. Yeah, and they look absolutely fine. Still sizzling, meat's sizzling, I can hear it. It's cooked through. I gave it an extra sort of 3 or 4 minutes just to make sure that meat was cooked through. And there we go. Leave them for about 10 minutes. They do get really hot, especially the meat inside, and I don't want you to burn your mouths, but eat and enjoy. Okay, so I'm just going to lift one of these. They're cool now, just to show you what they're like underneath. Nice and golden, even colour. Okay, and you can tell that the sausage meat is cooked because it's nice and firm. Okay, so there we go. When they're made, please keep them in the fridge if they last that long. 2 days max, I would say, and enjoy. Please like and subscribe.